Hello and welcome to Open Line. I'm Starlene Stringer. Well, there are a lot of pet lovers in the city of Irving, so we know there's a lot of interest in all that's happening at the Animal Care Campus. ICTN viewers were invited to submit questions through email and Facebook, and we have a great panel here to answer everything. Corey Price is the manager of Irving Animal Services. Marcy Murray is a volunteer with the DFW Humane Society. Dr. Dev Mandava is the city veterinarian, and Keen Menifee is an animal services officer. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we have so many people brought in because we have so many animal lovers, as we mentioned, so we'll get right to the questions. And we're going to start with you, Corey. You are relatively new at the Irving Animal Services and immediately jumped in for a very huge adoption event called Empty the Shelter. Tell me how successful that was.
That's right. That was more successful than I could have ever imagined it to be. I started here in Irving in May, got together with Mary Beth Sloan in communications, and we decided to try to make that event bigger than it's been in the past. That's an event that has happened here in Irving the last 3 years, I believe. And so we recruited partnerships throughout the DFW metro area, ended up with 33 participating shelters, and ended up doing 2,256 adoptions in that one day. Wow. So it's the largest adoption event Texas has ever seen that we're aware of.
That's awesome. And we were checking out some video of it as you talked about it and described it. It was a wonderful day. So I'm pretty sure you're going to do it again.
We are going to do it again.
What are the plans for next year?
We don't have them all solidified yet, but we do know that NBC is going to sponsor along like they did last year, and so we're kind of in negotiations with that right now, but you can definitely expect to see it in 2015.
Sounds good. And Marcy, a lot of people may not know the relationship between Animal Services and DFW Humane Society, so can you fill us in a bit?
Yes, we actually share a building at the Irving Animal Care Campus, and Irving Animal Services is on one side, DFW Humane Society is on the other. Okay. And we actually pull a lot of our animals for adoption from Irving Animal Services when their time there has ended or it's up, and they're in a position where they need to make a decision on that animal. So so far this date, we've pulled 433 animals from Irving Animal Services. Wow. And we're a no-kill shelter, so we have a little bit more time that we have with those animals to find them a forever home.
Wonderful. And Corey, what else should we know about the relationship between the city and the nonprofit?
I think the thing that residents of Irving need to know is that it's a very unique partnership. There are other animal care campuses across the country that have made an effort to do something like what we're doing, but historically the walls have gone up, so to speak. But our partnership with DFW Humane Society is rock solid, and Sarah welcomed me with open arms back in May, and we're just hitting the ground running.
Awesome. And Marcy, for people who have not visited the campus yet, they may be surprised at the variety of pets that are actually available. Tell me what you might find.
A lot of people just expect dogs and cats, but a lot of times we'll have rabbits, birds, snakes.
Oh my.
Yes. And we've even had pot-bellied pigs before.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, so it just kind of depends on the day, and guinea pigs, you know, small mammals. It just kind of depends on what you're looking for at the time and what we have available for adoption.
So no matter what kind of pet you're looking for, there's a possibility you have it for them.
Absolutely. Please come and check.
Now, Doctor, you are another addition to the Animal Care Campus, and I want you to tell us a bit about some of it is that what you do. I mean, give us an example of what you do. Obviously, you're the veterinarian, so you're taking care of the animals, right?
Yes, most of the day I'm occupied with surgeries. In the morning, after I come to the shelter, I go around in the shelter and see, just my rounds, and I see if there's any obvious sign of illness, anything. And we have a lot of technicians that send me vet checks, and if there's any animal that is sick, I take care of them in the afternoon sessions after the surgeries are done.
Interesting you bring that up, because a lot of people may not think, oh, okay, the animals there at the shelter need surgery, or the animals at this shelter may be hurt or injured. So do you see a lot of animals that are in need of your help?
A lot of the animals most of them are healthy, but once in a while, or more often than we expect, we get hit by car, or dogs that have skin conditions, or lacerations or cuts or bruises, wounds.
Wow.
And fleas and severe flea infestations, and
Sad.
There are other things.
But it's good to know you're there to help them out. Corey, how important is it to have a veterinarian as part of the staff?
Oh, it makes everything at the animal care campus run so much better. Most of the surgeries that he's doing throughout the day are the spay neuter surgeries, because we are trying to prevent more animals from coming into the shelter every day. And then having him there when we have an animal that's not doing so well, to know that they get immediate care and we get that professional veterinary opinion. Without him there, it would be dramatically different. So having a veterinarian on staff makes a world of difference for us.
I bet. And Keen, we haven't forgotten you. You're not getting off easy here. You got to talk to us too, because what you do is so very important. Tell us about it. You're on the front lines yourself, so tell us about the kind of calls you receive.
The majority of calls are stray animal calls, but every day, I mean, it's such a large mix of calls. Just today, for instance, I've already had 3 cruelty calls I've had to go out on animals that lack of care, being tethered all day. Several wildlife calls I've had to go out on, raccoons and skunks in people's yards, and so the strays make up the majority of the calls, but it really is a large amount of just a mix of calls that we go through all day long.
Makes me feel good to hear that, because my husband thinks I just call for help no matter what I see. It's like, you saw what? You called what? So when should people call you?
You know, if they see something out of the ordinary. I mean, an animal running loose, we don't want that animal to end up being injured. I mean, like Dr. Madova was saying about, I mean, we get a lot of hit by cars. Some of them still alive, some not. Also, too, if they're seeing anything in neighbors' yards or so forth that just looks out of the ordinary. I mean, like yesterday, for instance, somebody called in and just had a dog tethered up on a tree with no water, no shelter available. I mean, we were over 100 degrees yesterday. That's the sort of thing we need to know about, so we can go out and respond and educate that owner.
Makes perfectly good sense. Another thing that owners need to be aware of, I know, Corey, is that there is microchipping available. He's talked about strays and so forth, and from time to time there may be some that actually have homeowners that want them back and want to care for them and are good homeowners, but they may not be aware of microchipping, or maybe they are, and the people that found that pet don't know that they have that in place. So how important is microchipping, and can you explain the process to us?
Sure. Microchip is about the size of a piece of rice, so it's very small. It's one injection, kind of like a shot, and the microchip is there to stay. It's not a GPS. It's more like a grocery store scanner. When we scan for that microchip, it's connected to the owner's information. So for those pet owners in Irving that are really wanting to make sure that if their pet ever strays or gets lost, they will get their pet back, a microchip is absolutely the way to go. And the officers all work really hard. They have scanners on their trucks, and if we find an animal that's already microchipped and we can pull up that information, that animal may never even go to the shelter. They may go straight back home because we found that information on the microchip. So at the animal care campus on the city side, microchips are $10, and any Irving resident can come anytime we're open and have a microchip implanted for their pet.
So it's that simple, they just go in and it's done? Is it a quick process? We just saw a little video showing, so is it just something that's really fast?
It is really fast. It's just like it's similar to getting a vaccination. The needle's a little bigger because the microchip is, like I said, the size of a grain of rice, but it's very fast, and that identification stays with the pet for life, and all the owner needs to do is make sure that the information registered to the microchip stays current.
Kind of sounds almost like when parents take their kids to get vaccinated, you're doing it because it's a good cause.
Exactly.
I love it. And Marcy, we mentioned you are a volunteer, which we love volunteers. I love volunteering, and I know a lot of community members do as well. What are some of the different things you do as a volunteer?
There are so many ways to get involved when you volunteer. My favorite thing is working with the big dogs. I love working with the big dogs, and a lot of them that come and stay at the DFW Humane Society are about 7 or 8 months old. So they were adopted as cute little puppies, and then when they turned into rambunctious teenagers, they were brought back in because the family couldn't handle, they didn't have time to handle them, or they just couldn't deal with them. So my favorite thing is training. I love to work with the big dogs and train them, but also just giving TLC a little love to those that need it, and grooming, just brushing them when they're shedding a lot, and just getting them used to being in the shelter and visiting and seeing people, and getting acclimated to all the different noises and things like that is a really important thing for volunteers. Other volunteers love giving them baths. So we have one designated volunteer that bathes and teaches other volunteers how to bathe and how to handle the dogs in that situation. But volunteer opportunities are just limitless at the Irving Animal Care Campus. We have a garage sale coming up, so if maybe you'd love to help the animals but you can't do hands-on because you don't have time, or maybe you just feel like you don't have the physical stamina, you can come and absolutely help work the garage sale or bake something for the bake sale, or even just donate to the garage sale. Every dollar goes back to the Care Campus.
Sounds good. And how does someone go about signing up to become a volunteer?
You can go on our website at dfwhumane.com and click on volunteer, and it'll lead you straight through everything. There is a training that you'll go through just to find out about the Animal Care Campus and how to handle pets if you're going to be doing that, and the history. And once you're certified to be a volunteer for the Humane Society, you're also certified to be a volunteer for the Irving side as well. So you'll be able to handle pets and interact with customers on either side.
Wonderful. Thank you for giving us that information. And Keen, I want to come back to you because you talked about some of the things people call you about, some of the animals that they see out there, but I know sometimes it includes wildlife too. Tell us about some of the most common animals people actually spot.
Well, most of the wildlife we deal with are going to be raccoons, possums, skunks, squirrels. There are the occasional coyotes or foxes. When it comes to urban wildlife, the most important thing for people to do is to make sure that they're not inviting them to the door. I mean, to not be leaving food out or trash out or water out, so that we keep them a safe distance, because they're out there, they're all over the place. And we really need to be able to learn to live together. Also ensuring that holes in their attics are closed off, or underneath their homes are closed off. That way, again, it'll help keep the animals away out into the wild where they belong.
And so do you give the same advice when it comes to wildlife? Because I asked you before, like when we should call, and you were talking about maybe someone seeing a dog tied to a tree in the middle of, you know, our triple-digit heat. But when you see wildlife, should we say, oh my goodness, there's a coyote at the end of the street, or there's a raccoon? Should we call right away, or when do you call?
No, you want to call when there's a situation that's out of the ordinary, especially with wildlife. I mean, seeing a coyote in a field, that's where it belongs, and that's a good thing. Having the coyote at your back door, pawing at your back door, that's not a good thing, and that's when you need to call us.
I'd be calling 911 then. I think I'd just pass out right about then. We were seeing some video so that we could take a look at some of the animals that you probably encounter from time to time right here. And so thank you for letting us know when we should call to get you to come help us. Doctor, you help a lot of animals all the time. I want to ask you, do we need to worry about these animals possibly spreading disease to maybe our household pets if we do see them in our backyard, for instance? When should we be concerned?
Yes, there's a possibility of distemper and parvo infections. They could pass them to our pets. So it's always better. Sometimes we see people see little babies, baby raccoons and possums, and they take them into their house, and
really?
Skunks even. I've seen a skunk,
Oh, wow.
baby skunk. Somebody brought in a skunk.
I love animals, but not where I'm bringing in the skunk. I'm not doing that.
So they can transmit diseases, and skunks and raccoons, they can transmit rabies also. They can bite our pets and our people.
It sounds really silly, but I'm sure the answer is just don't do that. But how do you protect your pets from the wildlife, things like skunks and raccoons?
You need to vaccinate them and keep them ready. Like, you don't know when they have an encounter with the wildlife. So it's always a good idea to vaccinate them, get them vaccinated and for rabies and distemper.
Good advice. And what would you like to add to that, Corey? What else should we know when it comes to wildlife?
I think it's important for the residents of Irving to know that urban wildlife is here, like Keen mentioned. They're around Irving, they share our spaces. So just making sure that we secure our houses and don't invite the wildlife in, and observe them at a safe distance, because there are a lot of people that would be lucky to see the bobcat over near the golf course, so sometimes it's nice to see them at a safe distance. As long as we're coexisting peacefully, it's a nice thing to have around.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, the distance part.
Right.
Doctor, we are changing seasons. We're going from hot to cold, and there's a possibility of icy weather soon. So what do people need to do? What do they need to know? How can we protect our pets in the winter months?
Winter months, it's better to not leave them outside and give them put them inside. More indoor environment is better. And when the heaters inside, when the dogs and cats are inside, it might get warm, like hot, and the humidity is less, so they can use humidifiers, and that will be easier on their respiratory system.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So there are different kinds. I know that from being a mom for the pretty new child. So there's hot and there's cold. Is there a particular, when you say humidifier, does it need to be?
Because we turn in, you mean, what's the question again?
Yeah, like what kind of humidifier does it matter? Is it like the water, the cold, or anything just to keep the animals safe?
In general humidifier.
Just a general humidifier is good?
Which increase the humidity content in the air.
Wow, I like that. I've never heard that, so that's good to know to make sure the pets have that. I have a little Yorkie. She'll love it. Thank you. And Keen, what are some of the common mistakes or violations you see?
Well, people allowing their animals to run at large. I mean, that makes up such a huge majority of what we're dealing with. And I mean, you risk people getting bit from those animals running loose. You risk car accidents, animals being injured. So keeping their animals contained is the #1 priority for us. Also, making sure that their animals are rabies vaccinated. I mean, like the good doctor said a second ago, that we really don't know what our animals encounter. So we need to make sure that they do stay vaccinated. And they also here in the city have to be registered. And so they have to be registered with the city. And that's important. Corey was mentioning a minute ago about the microchip, and the same goes with the tags, with the rabies vaccination and city registration tags. I mean, just yesterday I picked up 2 animals that had identification that I was able to get right back home. They never went to the shelter, so I was able to call the owner, get them to meet me, and get them back home. And so that's the goal. The goal isn't to get these animals to the shelters, get them back home to a safe and hopefully loving home.
I love it. Let me ask you this question, and we'll ask this to Corey. Corey, there are so many special events that actually take place at the Animal Care Campus, and that's awesome. But one of the most important is the low-cost vaccinations, and I know that Keen just talked about that again. How often are they held?
It's pretty frequently. We have TCAP comes, the Texas Coalition for Animal Protection.
Okay.
They come the first Wednesday of every month and the fourth Friday of every month. They also offer low-cost spay neuter. So residents can schedule an appointment for the low-cost spay neuter, or they can come while they're there during those days to receive the low-cost vaccinations. And then we also quarterly will do a free rabies vaccination day through the city of Irving, and it's an event that the city supports. Going back to what Keen was saying earlier, one of our responsibilities in animal care and control is to make sure that we're enforcing all the rabies control laws and making sure that rabies doesn't become a threat to our pets or even to us, because rabies can be deadly, or most of the time is deadly unless treatment is received. So we feel like it's really important to make those rabies vaccines available to our residents. Those are free, like I said, 4 times a year. And then the low-cost vaccinations happen monthly.
Perfect, and I know the next one is on Friday the 26th of this month, September 26th, so that's good for people to know. How can they go about finding out about future ones? Is it posted on your website?
It is posted on the new city website, which is really easy to navigate. So if you go to the Animal Services page on the city website, you'll see our events calendar, and those things do get posted up there, so you'll know when they're coming.
Wonderful. And I want to talk a bit about spay and neutering a little bit more. And Doctor, I want to turn to you for that because you do it. So I know it's being done for a reason. And of course, that's, you know, everyone knows what the reason is, to not have more animals that are in need of being taken to a shelter or in need of a home that they may not get. So tell us how important it is for people to have their pets spayed and neutered.
It's very important for us to get our animals spayed and neutered, because we have a lot of, you know, they multiply at a very alarming rate. We have a lot of animals before we know it, especially cats and, you know, dogs, rabbits also, you know, sometimes. Once in a while we do rabbit spays and neuters too. If they are not spayed at right age, what can happen is their tissues are exposed to estrogen, and it's very similar to human problem. You know, estrogen, if there is a lot of estrogen in the system, there's a chance of mammary tumors in dogs and cats. It's been, there are a lot of studies that show that. And also there's a condition called pyometra, that's pus filling up the uterus and, you know, having infection. That can happen if the dog or a cat is not neutered, or it happens in females, so it's spayed. If they're not spayed, that can happen. And also unwanted crosses. You know, sometimes dogs, you know, they think, oh, my dog is not going out, I don't need to get it spayed or neutered. what happens is reproduction is a biological mechanism. So they run out. They run out of the house in breeding season. They want to breed, mate. And when they go out onto the roads, there's very high chance they'll be hit by cars or hit by traffic.
Oh, wow.
So we get a lot of hit by car cases, usually in the spring or before spring when it is breeding season.
So there's lots of reasons to have your pets
lots and
spayed
lots of
and
reasons,
neutered.
yes.
Wow, some we hadn't even thought of, so thank you for sharing those. Now, once those animals are here and they need a home, you have things like pet adoptions, and I know that you have a big event that goes on at Petsmart from time to time. Tell us about adopting cats at Petsmart.
We have our cats at Petsmart 7 days a week, and the beautiful thing about that is that we have volunteers that run that program completely.
Wonderful.
And so really we're just in the shelter getting those animals ready to go to Petsmart, and our volunteers take it from there. Once a month we also do an adoption weekend where we'll also have dogs out there, and that is also coming up this weekend out at Petsmart. So if you're looking for a pet and you can't make it to the shelter on Valley View, head up to the Petsmart and you'll see dogs and cats. Also, does DFW take pets out there? I'm not sure. Okay, so it's both of us. DFW
Wonderful.
Humane and Irving Animal Services will both have animals out there that day.
And they're adorable. We got to see a little video just now. I'm going to turn to you now, Marcy, because I know the DFW Humane Society has a couple of other events coming up too. One is October 18th, and that is a blessing of shelter animals. What can people expect there?
The blessing of the animals is really kind of a moving experience. All the volunteers take all the pets in the shelter out in a circle, and we have the blessing. And I think I have information on Hope Fellowship Church. And this is our 5th annual blessing, and it's just really a moving experience for everybody. A lot of people come and bring their own dogs, and at the same time we do a donation drive for pet needs. So a lot of people come and they bring donations, cat litter, liquid laundry soap, towels, things like that. All the information's up on the website, things in a list of donations. And we try and adopt lots of animals that day too. But it's a very moving thing, and it's a lot of fun, and just another chance for the Irving community to get together
and get involved. We like that. Thank you. And Corey, also on that day, if it's fixed, it's free. What does that mean?
That's just another one of our adoption events. If the animal has already been spayed or neutered on that particular day, the adoption fee is waived. So people can come out and bring their own pets and participate in the blessing of the animals. And if they're interested, they can take home a new furry friend without having to pay an adoption fee.
Oh, it's a bonus. There we go. Also, Marcy, the DFW Humane Society has an angel fund, which is really for those animals that tug at our heartstrings, right? Tell me about some of the success stories.
The Angel Fund is reserved for those animals that come in that have medical needs, whether it's they're in need of heartworm treatment, which will save their life, or if they come in, it's one of those hit by cars, they come in and they need a little bit of extra, maybe some surgery or whatever medical needs they might have.
How can we help?
You can donate monetarily directly to that Angel Fund, and right now we do have a couple pets up there that we are still, I can't think of the word.
Receiving like sponsorship for?
Thank you. That we're still collecting for. We go ahead and have the treatment done. Whatever they need, the medical comes first, and then we'll try and raise the funds afterwards. So we have a couple up on our Angel Fund site within our website that show what they had done, the cost of it, and
so you take care of the animals first, and then you have people step up to help you out after that. You're trusting that they will.
Yes.
And we are too. And you know, Corey, I know the city also has an animal assistance fund. How does that work?
That's correct. It is similar to what DFW Humane does, although ours is much more limited. Ours is really geared toward subsidizing spay-neuter. So, and that also helps pay for the free rabies vaccination clinics and that sort of thing that we do. It also helps us provide medical treatment for animals that are coming in with issues, but we work together with DFW on a lot of those animals. And then it also funds our Seniors for Seniors adoption program.
Which is what? Tell me about that.
For residents of Irving that are 65 and over, you can come to the Animal Care Campus and adopt a dog 5 years or older. So we're pairing up seniors with seniors, and it is also free of charge. So
I love it.
Seniors in Irving can swing by the adoption center and take home a new furry friend.
Perfect. And Marcy, back to you now. We mentioned some of the specials, but it is reasonably priced to adopt at any time, right?
It is, definitely. The things that you get along with the adoption fee that you pay, it really, you can't get a better price. For the dogs, it's 100 to 110, depending on whether they've had their rabies, but it includes the cost to spay or neuter, includes microchipping, all their shots to date, deworming, a free vet check within the first 10 days, microchip enrollment, and 30 days of pet insurance. And with the cats, it's very similar. The cats is $85. It includes all their shots to date, feline leukemia tested negative. Some of them have rabies. If they're not already spayed or neutered, it includes the cost to do so.
You're so knowledgeable. You're a wonderful volunteer. She's just looking going, yes, she is. Thank you for letting us know how easy the process is and how affordable it is as well. I want to turn back to you and ask you just a quick question, Corey. On your website, can we preview some of what's available? Can people go on there and see animals? Yeah.
The current software system that we use sends all that data straight to the city website. So if you're just thinking about possibly adopting, you can always go on that website and look to see what we have.
So smart, because we look and we go, oh, it's so cute.
I know. And it updates pretty close to real time. It updates very frequently, and DFW Humane uses the same software system, so their website should be the same.
Perfect. And Marcy, sometimes people have stereotypes about shelter dogs, but why is it important to actually go to a shelter or maybe go to their website instead of going to a breeder or a store?
Well, there are so many pets in shelters that are dying every day because there are just too many pets out there, not enough homes. So going and visiting a pet, they're going to win your heart. They really are. So getting to know that animal and seeing how it fits in with your family is really important. And going and visiting it in person and finding out about that pet and seeing them and seeing how they fit into your life, I think they'll find that this is a great way to find a new family member.
I bet you second that, don't you, Corey?
Absolutely.
Well, I know there's some other things coming up too that I want to talk about really quickly. On Saturday, October 25th, the DFW Humane Society, I have this cute little flyer here. I can show it there on camera. And hopefully people can pick up these little things too. It's poolside at the Las Colinas Country Club, and it is a contest, a carnival, and a good time, and it's free. You're invited to bring your whole family and strut your mutt and meow, you say?
Yes.
That is so cute. A pet kissing booth?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Fun times. And another event that's taking place from the DFW Humane Society coming up very soon. It's really cool too. It's Canines, Felines, and Cuisine. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, we are a nonprofit organization. We don't receive any kind of funds from from the National Humane Society or anything like that. So we survive on the generosity of people, basically, donations and such. But we also do a lot of fundraisers like garage sales and bake sales. The Black Collar Affair, which is the Canines, Cuisines, is our biggest fundraiser that we do every year. And this year it's going to be at the Four Seasons in Las Colinas.
Very nice.
We're going to have celebrity chefs. We're going to have games, silent auctions. It's a lot of fun, and we would love for everybody to come. And it's all about the pets. We usually have a pet parade where the pets come into the hotel and they actually get to do a parade, so people get to interact with them and see what we're doing at the Irving Animal Care Campus, and it's really just a lot of fun. And all the information is up on our upcoming events on dfwhumane.com. So check it out and see if you and a group of your friends would like to come and do good for the Humane Society, but also, you know, have a great time yourselves.
Perfect, thank you. And we didn't give that date. It is Sunday, November 9th at 6 o'clock, and that's at the Four Seasons. We are out of time, but I want to thank y'all for taking time out of your busy schedules to tell us all about what's going on here to protect the animals in Irving. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I'm Starlene Stringer. Please be sure to join us on Thursday, October 9th for our next edition of Open Line. We will mark Domestic Violence Awareness Month with guests from the Family Advocacy Center and Brighter Tomorrows. If you have questions, email ictn@cityofirving.org and we'll get answers for you on the next edition of Open Line. We'll see you then.